Now you may be asking yourself, to me, Thaddeus, but what exactly is in your full sack? Well, more alchemical gold than most people's entire bloodlines. I'll drink to that. You know, this video was actually inspired by an email that I got yesterday. We're doing a Regal retention study, like a real white paper case study in the Regal Academy, and we've got volunteers that we're working with as well, part of the channel. And somebody reached out to me and he said, Thaddeus, the awkward stares and attention are getting ludicrous. I am more introverted and contemplative as a person naturally, like you seem to be. And I know you know already and have spoken on this frequently, but the amount of people that go out of their way to stare at me and even talk to me during retention is by far not a placebo. I had a woman today that I felt noticed me and stared at me from the gas station I had briefly stopped at, and then she proceeded to travel the entire distance between us to come close to me and far closer to me, only then to emphatically compliment my hair and exclaim, "God bless you, sir." And then I said, "Thank you, and may God bless you." And her reaction was as if I performed a miracle for her, just wholeheartedly embracing my words. This is just one of many examples. So we are just over 2 weeks. We're at the halfway point for this Regal retention study. And this is, this is what happens for people. Now, I don't know exactly how long this guy has been on retention for, but no matter what, even if it was, 2 weeks, whatever, we all know that this is not a placebo. The weird things that go on, like when we're treated as a celebrity, when we're just like glowing, right? When you're glowing because you have retained your essence, and it's not about control, it's not about trying to get attention, it's just that you are embracing more of who you are because you're not a depleted Coomer. And you're actively transmuting that energy. You're being like a regal alchemist who transmutes the heavy Saturnian lead into alchemical golden sun. That's what you're doing. And this is a process, and it is indeed a process. So it's not necessarily something to get all worked up about, but it is a phenomenon for the man with the full sack to experience being treated as a celebrity. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten emails like this. Now, this email specifically is for the Regal retention study that we're doing, but I mean, with one-on-ones, with my Godlike Mastery offer, with the Regal Academy in of itself, we have people in there that are on retention. They've talked about their experiences. It's no joke. And it's simply because you're respecting yourself and you're letting go. Like, I genuinely think a lot of this has to do with being non-attached, because I've thought about this a lot today, about the responsibility of luminous beings, you might say. And there's a responsibility that comes with being the regal alchemist with a full sack. There's a lot of responsibility because you start to recognize slowly, as you begin to let go of all these attachments and illusions and such, you soon realize that your perspective and your way of viewing things is just as flawed and elusive as anybody else's. And so all that you can do is meet people where they're at and help them wake up to the illusion. That's all that we can do. You see, we literally live in a video game. Okay, we literally live in a video game. So when you have like a system that hacks the system, when you are operating in a mode of being where you are cheating the Saturnian system, you might say, right? And I mean this symbolically, not necessarily literally, okay? But when you're cheating the symbolic Saturnian system, you're going to start to see how the material realm no longer has a hold on you that it once did. And the more you let go of the 3D, the three-dimensional realm, you see that, yes, you still live in the third dimension, but you can operate interdimensionally. There's this flow that comes with you. And you're going to be treated like a celebrity in some instances simply because there's going to be some kind of form of projection on the other person's side that they're going to see in you. Okay, so right now I'm working on a shadow integration class for the Regal Academy because there's a lot of shadow information out there about how to integrate the shadow, but there's a lot of information that's just cheap, right? The actual integrative process, that's priceless. However, it's something that you have to go through, and it's not a really pretty process. You know, growth is never really beautiful all the time. Like sometimes it can be kind of messy. And so growth just happens to be part of the process that you have to live in. And the best thing that you can do for your situation as the Regal Alchemist with a full sack being treated like a celebrity is recognizing that yes, like there is this source energy that you might say, this godly energy that is flowing through you, but we don't need to get attached to that. Otherwise, we're going to be in a form of vanity and pride. And that can be very challenging, especially when there's a bunch of beautiful women that maybe would never have even looked at you start to experience this with you. Okay? And they are looking at you like a fine piece of steak, man. Like they see you and I mean, it's crazy. They'll look at your chest or your arms in a certain way and just start to like, you can see them sighing around you, right? Like it's very bizarre. And you might not even be the most fit person in the world, but even if you're reasonably fit, like that's going to be healthy, number one. I think being healthy and being reasonably fit is just a good thing to do. I don't necessarily think that, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about the parable of the goats and the sheep that Jesus talks about, where he's going to separate the goats on the left and the sheep on the right, or vice versa, or whatever it is. And the goats, they're like, well, wait, when did we not do this for you, Lord? When did we not do this for you? When did we not do this for you? Whereas the sheep, they're like, wait, we did this for you? You know, they don't even remember their good deeds, right? They just are good people. And that's what's going to happen the more that you let go of these attachments that you have. This is one of the other reasons why people are going to see you as a celebrity and like a movie star, is because you start to see that there's a quality in you that is everlasting, that's always there, but you still need to take care of yourself, right? Like there's still, you can't just well, I guess you could. I mean, you try it. Sure, why not? But I have never seen it work out for anybody, where you just do semen retention, but you don't really, or you know, just celibacy, and you don't really do much about it, right? Like you don't try to transmute the energy. You don't try to alchemize anything. You don't try to understand anything. You don't learn anything new. You don't grow. You're just expecting, you know, magic to happen by doing nothing. Now, doing nothing is actually a very powerful force of nature, even though it's nothing. Active stillness, it's a form of trust. Okay, this is where godlike mastery comes into play. And this is where I deal with a lot of people in their godlike mastery transition, I guess you could say, and their transformation, because you recognize that in order to be godlike in your mastery, you have to recognize that you're already there. You are already there. But it takes a recognition of that is a bit more complex and a bit more tedious as a task to explore than one might think. And so when I get emails like this, I mean, this is a classic example of what happens when you are truly dedicated and devoted, not just to the practice and the discipline. You're not disciplined just for discipline's sake. You're disciplined because it's part of your Dharma, let's say, right? It's part of your righteous spiritual educative process. Because I'm here to be the education. I'm the education for you. I'm not the educator. There is no educator, but I'm the education. And so people that are on my frequency are going to really resonate with this. Because people that are, let's say, on the of course frequency, well, of course you're going to be treated as of course you're going to be making more money. Of course you're going to be doing all these things. Of course things are going to be naturally letting go. Like, there's not going to be a trying to grasp onto anything, and there's not going to be trying to push anything away. And that's a real practice. It's a real practice. And this is one of the reasons why meditation is so important and vital to your inner standing. The Regal Change old timers definitely know what I'm talking about here. The understanding of what it means to not try to push or pull anything to you. You simply just be it. Now, the universe, the soul of existence, it gives you what you are. Okay, and it took me a long time to really understand what this meant. So, what this means is that who you believe you are is what the universe is going to provide for you or give you. That's part of the video game that we live in. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I don't even think about flat earth. I don't even think about globe earth anymore. Like, there's there's better arguments to be made for flat earth than there is a global earth, but it doesn't even matter. Okay, forget it. It doesn't matter. We live in a literal video game. This is a literal video game. And semen retention, having a full sack, being a regal alchemist with a full sack, is part of understanding that the game is not out there. The game is in here. Okay, the game is in here inside. And you'd be surprised when you start to recognize your own thought algorithms of scarcity, especially practicing this type of thing. Like, why do you need to find something? Why do you need to seek something? Isn't it just already there? Because if we are actually in timelessness and we are beings of interdimensionality, then what will happen has already happened. Nonlinear time nonlinear time is the truth. It's a truthful real rather than a real truth. Linear time is a real truth, but it's not a truthful real. So we can only experience time linearly, but we know that it doesn't happen linearly. We know that it happens non-linearly. So this is a very profound observation. And you just being more aware of your own light, because that's what awareness is light. The more you're aware of your own light, the more you're being with your own light, then the more naturally you're going to see that, of course, this is going back to the of course frequency. Of course, you are operating in a way where people see you as a celebrity or a movie star. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? When you start to truly have a godlike mastery of yourself, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they see you like this? So it's like I'm trying to think about how to see these NPCs now, because I don't like calling them NPCs. It feels too degrading. So what I'm going to call these people are commoners. The commoners of the society are mostly depleted Kumars or attention addicts. Okay, and if you're in a narrative structure, if you're in a symbolic narrative structure where you believe you have to fight an addiction, or you have to fight lust, or you have to fight this, it's like, it's really good because it feeds into the ego, right? Like, the ego likes that. The ego's like, yeah, I'm the one that exists. Everybody else is false. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, yeah, I am right and everybody else is false. But from their perspective, they're right and everybody else is false. Because this is an observational-based reality. So the commoners, they don't recognize this with you because you're practicing living from an observational-based reality. And that practice from an observational based reality is going to be a significant part of your growing process. As the regal alchemist with a full sack who gets all this attention, it's kind of bombarding at first, and it is, as this person says, it's awkward stares is getting ludicrous. Again, it's part of the issue. It's part of the process in of itself. It's not even an issue. It's just the issue. I mean that in the sense of like part of the situation. It's part of the thing that's being presented. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be, well, I guess I just happened. Like it's just a happening that you need to experience happening, I suppose. This is why in my book I talk so much about being lovers of uncertainty. And being lovers of uncertainty, which the new edition is out. It's basically mostly the same material, just rephrased a little bit differently in a lot of different areas. And this second edition, it's very interesting because I just published the book last year, and I'm working on the Regal Timeline theory book right now, and I don't know, like it's kind of creating itself as I write it, and it's very interesting because it's a totally different approach than what I did for this book, right? And I'm finding that it's, I don't know, it's definitely a different type of alchemical process, but the alchemical steps, you might say, symbolically speaking, are the same. And this is the same thing that happens with how we approach this life. I mean, we have to also recognize that having a full sack is it's just one dimension of a multiple dimensions, like, and I say multiple, I don't mean just a few, I mean like layers upon layers of the spiritual process. There are layers and layers to this, and it is the responsibility of the luminous beings to recognize this and to not be attached. Otherwise, we're perpetuating the separateness of this life. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was insightful and useful for you. I still have 2 spots open for the Godlike Mastery offer for this month. I know there's only a few days, like a week left here, and it's looking like I'm only going to have 2 spots for May as well. So definitely, if you have the financial resources and the time and you're ready to really fully commit to transformation, if you're serious about it, it's time to make the change, man. It's time to make the change. So that's going to be your option there. Otherwise, if you're looking for a community or you just want to be around more like-minded individuals with different kinds of classes and group calls available, then check out the Regal Academy or schedule one-on-one with me. Otherwise, I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.